Welcome to the Victor Frame Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Soto. This is the last episode on the model, on results, and the universal truth and how life works. It's like circumstances in our life triggers a thought that we have. We have a thought. The thought creates an emotion. That emotion drives an action. That action creates a result in your life. The action that we take or we don't take is going to determine our results in our life. And we're talking about results today, guys. Circumstances are neutral. They're just out there. We have no control over our circumstances, but we do have control of our thoughts. Certain circumstances trigger thoughts. Circumstances exist. They're neutral. You can think anything you want about them. They're not even like really loosely connected to thoughts, because you can think anything you want about a circumstance, right? So it's not like there's something out there that is, oh, there's such a bad circumstance, so there's such a good circumstance that you have to think about. They're completely neutral. And then you go into thinking anything you want about them. And that's where our control lies in our thoughts. Now we're going to talk about the results. It gets very interesting because we have to first say, what is a result, really? We want to determine what a result really is. And we want to define a result. And a result is how your actions affect your life. Right? How does what you do and don't do affect what you have and don't have? So when we look at results, we look at what we have in our lives. We can look at the money you have or don't have. You can look at the relationship you have or don't have, the type of woman that you talk to or don't talk to, the friends that you have, how many of them, the job that you have, the amount of money that you have and don't have. All of those things are your results, and they're all based on your thoughts. So many people think that they come from circumstance. So many people think that the things I have in my life are because of my circumstances, or because of my past, or because of what's happened to me, or because of something that occurred with my boss. Like there's some sort of outside person or thing or event that is determining the results in their lives. And that is completely false. That is not true. That is the illusion that we work with. That is basically what society has convinced us to believe. I see it all the time. I see it with my clients. I see it every time I talk to somebody when they're looking for some services. I see it on magazines. I see it on TV. I see it in movies. I see it on social media. We're constantly conditioned to believe that we can blame our circumstances for the results we have in our lives. And that is not the case. That's just the illusion. This is actually called confirmation bias. But I'm going to get back to that in a moment. Our results are the direct effect of our actions. Literally what we do is the results that we have. That's the law of cause and effect. For every action is a reaction. For every action or inaction, that is also going to create the effect of a specific result. One specific action will always create one specific result. One for one. What I love about this is that as a person in the alpha mindset, influence is possible. You have the ability to influence people with your behavior, because when they watch you, they get to think what they want. And it's your confidence. It's how you carry yourself. And that they get to think however they want to think, right? But we can never manipulate or control other people, no matter how we think this is true. We just don't do that. It's possible to do that, of course, but there's certain ways of manipulating people, and there's certain ways of controlling people mentally, physically, emotionally. But this is not what the person in the alpha mindset does. The person in the alpha mindset does not do this because he understands that the universal truth applies to all people. And all people have the power of mindset to create the emotions, to take the actions, and get the results they want in their life. Most people do this unconsciously, to be fair. What I love about this is when we look at the model, the circumstance and everything in between, right? The results line never have other people in them, never. So when you go through the program, when you learn to unleash the alpha mindset, you start to recognize that other people never go in your result line. Other people never are part of your result. Now you might say, what about my job? Like I want to get this job, but I have to have the result line where the interviewer assess my application and decides to give me the job. Or if I want to go to get a woman's phone number, my results be I want to get her phone number. Then she has to hand me over that phone number, right? But what I'm telling you is your actions are not determining whether you get the job or not. Your actions are not determining whether you get that phone number or not. What's determining whether you get that job, what's determining whether you get that phone number is the person's thoughts. Is that person's model, the way they look at that circumstance and what thoughts they choose about that circumstance. It's how they think, how they feel, and if they decide to act that way. There's nothing to do with you. That is the mindset mastery, and that is the emotional responsibility and ownership you take as a person in the alpha mindset. You recognize that other people never end up in your result line. Now, like I said before, results are always going to reinforce that original thought, right? For a lot of people, this creates what's called confirmation bias. This is a psychological term. Confirmation bias is basically suffering from the illusion that your thoughts are facts. It's your brain looking for information that helps you keep you safe, right? You believe your thoughts are circumstance. That is a confirmation bias. As having a thought about a circumstance, the result you get from that thought reinforces that thought. You now believe that the thought is true and that is directly related to that circumstance, that in some way, right, it has some kind of causal effect of that circumstance. And that's confirmation bias. And a lot of people suffer from this, to be quite honest. I used to suffer from this all the time. And on the negative side, because confirmation bias confirms how awesome you think about yourself, it can also confirm how horrible you think about yourself. It all depends on the original thought. You're the same person, right? But one day you may think you're shitty, and the other day you may think you're very good. If that original thought is very positive, very motivating, then you can create the confirmation bias that's going to really reinforce these positive thoughts about yourself. But most people don't go that way. The brain doesn't really work that way. The brain is always trying to solve problems all the time. And when you turn your brain on yourself, it's going to look for problems. And then it's going to use confirmation bias to keep you safe. It's going to use the results in your life, what you have and what you don't have. Basically to reinforce that original thought, what you have and what you don't have in your life. It's the outward expression of life. And it can become a circumstance. Your results can become your circumstances if they become facts. If I weigh 100 pounds and my thought is I want to work hard, I want to work out hard, and I want to put on some muscle and I'm feeling motivated by the start and I take action to eat right and to go to the gym and to train as hard as I can. And my results ends up being that now I weigh 190 pounds due to my action, the cause and effect. My new circumstance is that I'm 190 pounds. The result can become a circumstance, but it doesn't always become a circumstance. It's just what shows up in your life. And results really aren't that complicated. It's really about just results. I want to spend the rest of this time going through some models, some examples, so you can see how the universal truth shows up and is applied all the time in every moment of your life. It happens all the time, whether you are aware of it or not. So I've got 3 circumstances that I'm going to go through with you guys. We're going to go through some of the models and we're going to go change them around a little bit. The first one is that there's a woman. We see a woman. Now, this woman could be anywhere. It could be in a bar. It could be in a coffee shop. It doesn't matter. It could be walking down the street. Doesn't matter where, but you see a woman. Now, if your thought is something negative, if you're thinking, I'm not good enough, if you're thinking there's something wrong with me, if you have this constant conscious thought, and you may not even be aware of your thoughts, a lot of times, with some of the people I talk to on Zoom and with my clients, they're not aware of their thoughts. They're just aware of their emotion and the way that they feel. They see a woman, they find attractive, and they just feel anxiety. That's it. There's no thought. In fact, their mind is usually some sort of fog. Like their mind goes blank. And that anxiety, remember, anxiety is an emotion of resistance. Now, anxiety is not an actual emotion. It is a feeling of resisting an emotion. Usually that emotion is fear. If you want to see a beautiful woman or a woman you find to be beautiful, the thought is, I'm not good enough. She's so beautiful, she's going to reject me. Then the fear of rejection comes up. And that's the emotion. That's the chemical of fear that goes into your body that feels horrible. Fear feels horrible. And I'm telling you because I used to have a fear of rejection all the time. So instead, we resist against that fear. We feel anxiety instead. And we call that an approach anxiety. We call that social anxiety. And we all know what performance anxiety is, right? A lot of people feel like this. Now, what are the actions that come from approach anxiety? What are the actions that come from social anxiety? It's holding back, it's resistance, it's hesitation. It's not approaching the woman. You're not going to talk to her. It's actually inaction. It's some sort of paralysis. It's hiding. It's removing yourself. And these are the actions taken with anxiety, with the fear. And the result is that you missed the opportunity. You missed the opportunity to talk to this woman. You let yourself down. And that is the fucking result. And when you let yourself down constantly from your actions, you deplete your confidence. Inaction leads to a depletion of confidence all the time. Now, I want you guys to see that when you let yourself down, that result is going to reinforce that original thought that you're not good enough by doing this stuff. You're basically reinforcing that you're not good enough over and over again. You're reinforcing that that you easily let yourself down, that you let other people down, and that she's going to reject you because you're rejecting yourself. You see how that works? That's the reinforcement from the result to thought, which has nothing to do with the woman. There could be another thought in there. And this is what I try to teach my clients. You can have a completely different emotion and completely different actions. Confidence takes some time, right? You gotta build it. Confidence takes some effort. You can't just feel confident all of a sudden. You can do it, but you really to cultivate it and train that emotion to become like a habit, that takes some time and it takes some practice. It's a skill set. So I like to start, some of my clients, I like to start them with courage, with some type of action of courage. I like them to do something with the thought of courage. I can do this. There's this woman over there and I want to talk to her. I can do this. I can fucking do this. And that thought creates courage. I can. Now when you feel the courage, it's action with fear. It's feeding fear and acting anyway. And so when you build up courage, you still feel the fear, but you lead with action. You learn to take action. You learn to move forward with courage. And eventually it develops confidence. When you feel courage and you take that action, the action is to approach her, is to talk to her, is to introduce yourself to her. And the result is, I did it. I fucking did it. That's the result. That is what occurs from the action. When you take the action and you approach the woman, the result is that you accomplish the approach. You did it. And you can see how I did it. Reinforces the thought. I can do that. You can do that 10 times. You can do that 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. And I guarantee you, it's going to reinforce those thoughts. And that cycle in the model is going to become more natural. And then that courage you cultivate, the more confidence you'll develop, right? Now, a confident thought might be, I trust myself to handle any situation. It really doesn't matter what she does. She could say whatever she wants. It doesn't matter. I could say whatever I want. It doesn't matter because that's confidence. Confidence is the thought. I trust myself to handle any fucking situation. And if I think that and I approach with confidence, I feel confident, then I can trust myself to do these things. I can trust myself no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens. That's my result. I can do anything I want. That's the power of confidence. That's what men in the alpha mindset, that's their power. That's why I love confidence as much as massive action, as an emotion that drives massive action. Because really, it's confidence that will get you to act on anything you want. Again, you can have any thought you want. You could be thinking, I'm awesome, I'm amazing, I'm fun, I'm exciting. And depending on what you're thinking, you're going to have that emotion that follows, which is going to create that action. But always remember that the result doesn't have to do with what she does. The result doesn't have anything to do with the other person. It only has to do with what comes from your action. Your action is approaching that woman. Now you take it a step further. You start taking more actions with different thoughts, right? With different emotions. And then we have different models. And we're running different models on there all the time, right? That builds confidence, and you're doing this on a constant basis. All right, guys. Now, number 2, the second model we're going to talk about, and this one has to do with processing and feeling emotion. Because again, a lot of our guys, they don't know how to do this. This is something that needs to happen to really create that relationship with yourself. But it's something that we were never taught to do. No school, no high school, not in middle school, definitely not in college. College doesn't have a course on processing emotion, being aware of your thinking. They fill your head with stuff, but some of the shit it's not usable in real life. They fill your head with what's and with whys, but they never teach you how to use your brain. So the circumstance is there's a woman on TV in a swimsuit, right? Now the thought is, I don't feel connected to anyone. Again, this could be an unconscious thought. You might be single, you might be in a relationship that you just don't feel like a strong connection with your partner. And you think like the thought, I don't feel connected to anyone. I don't feel connection. I don't feel sexual connection. I don't feel physical intimacy. And the feeling is disconnected. It could be even shame. There might be a little bit of shame in there. I don't feel connected. I feel empty. And so the action is to watch porn, right? I'm going to go buffer my emotion, right? We're going to go into buffering in a whole nother episode, which I'm excited about that one. Because a lot of us buffer without knowing. I don't want to feel shame. I don't want to feel disconnected. I don't want to feel this way. I want to instead try to connect with somebody. So you go ahead and watch porn. Watching porn is the action. Now the result is either you're still single or you're still in a relationship that has no connection. You've compounded the shame. Literally compounded it, made it worse. You become more disconnected. But you're really less connected to yourself because you end up avoiding that emotion. And you're not paying attention to that emotion, to what's happening there. Instead, you're searching for some type of dopamine. You're looking for that quick false pleasure without allowing you to really process and understand the negative emotion and process everything that's going in your head and in your body. So the result is going to then reinforce the thought, I don't feel connected. And you're going to continue to not feel connected. So for this next situation, for this next model, we're going to use the same circumstance. And I'm even going to use the same thought because a lot of my clients, right? A lot of people that talk to, a lot of prospects, for a lot of guys, one of the first places is to take control of that porn habit. If I ever see one of my clients with that, it's one of those big things that separate you from yourself and it separates you from other people. It's a big thing in our society. I'm not going to just single out men. But with that same trigger, seeing the woman on TV in a swimsuit, that may be that same thought. I don't feel connected to anyone. And again, maybe it's because you're single. Maybe it's because you're in a relationship that's starting to fade. You're beginning to get some sort of disconnect in there. And so again, the emotion is the same. It's shame, it's disconnect. And instead of acting in a way where, it's going to benefit you in the long run, you result into pornography. And that false pleasure is going to get you that dopamine release, avoiding that uncomfortable emotion, right? And the action is going to allow that emotion to just process through your body. And again, I'm not going to go back to the emotion podcast. You can go back to it, but I want to remind you that an emotion is never going to hurt you. An emotion is not physically harmful. All an emotion is a physiological change in your body at the cellular level. It's just cells vibrating. Sometimes these emotions feel good. Sometimes they feel comfortable. A lot of times they feel uncomfortable. But they're all cells wiggling, really. It's like a waterbed. It's perfectly flat, but there's no motion. And then you drop a bowling ball on it, and then the waves start moving. That's what emotions is. Sometimes it feels good. Sometimes it doesn't feel good. It's just waves. That's all it is. It's just a vibration in your cells. So when you allow emotion, when you process the emotion, the result that you get in your life is that you are more connected to yourself because you process that emotion that interrupts the thought, that you don't feel connected to yourself or to anybody really. That's how we start to remove the habit of pornography. That's how we start to eliminate that, which is basically unwire it the same way that it was wired. Like, porn is just like an action, right? Porn is just an action. It's essentially like Pavlov's dog. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have heard that the study of Pavlov's dogs. The stimulus is an uncomfortable emotion, and the response is the action, watching porn. And when we start to allow that stimulus without the action, then we start to remove that connection between the two. And that's how you get to be more connected with yourself. All right? That's the second model. Now the third model is with the circumstance that, your girlfriend or your wife, depending on whether you're in a long-term or short-term or married relationship, you or your girlfriend, let's say, you guys have sex once a month. Now remember, circumstances are facts. And so if you look at your calendar and you know for a fact that you and your partner only have sex one time a month, that is a fact. If you have sex 2 times a month, that's a fact. If you have sex 1 time a week, that's a fact. But you can't say me and my partner don't have sex very often, because that's a thought. What is not very often? For some people, not very often is 3 times a week. Like, that's not enough. For other people, it's 2 times a year and it's not enough. But if the circumstance is factual, we can say quantity-wise that, hey, my girlfriend or my wife we have sex 1 time a month, that we can start looking at what does that mean to you? What are your thoughts around that? Now, I've got 3 thoughts here, right? One thought is that she's not attracted to you. You could say, my wife is not attracted to me. She doesn't like me. The emotion is defeated, insecurities. My actions are then to become more needy. I feel insecure and start to pull on her. I try to trick her into telling me that she cares about me and that she's attracted to me. But when I do these actions, the result is that I'm not attracted to myself. I don't like me anymore because I'm not my best, because I'm not showing up as my personal best. And that result reinforces back to the thought that she's not attracted to me. If I'm not being my best, then why should she be attracted to me? Now, maybe she isn't, who knows? But it has nothing to do with her at all. I don't like who I'm being when I'm being needy, when I'm doing all these actions out of insecurity and feeling defeated. Another thought on top of that might be that she's cheating on me. We've always had that thing where somebody's cheating on somebody else. We've had that thought, we have sex once a month. What do I make that mean in my head, that she's cheating on me? I might feel suspicious, but my suspicious emotion, I might check on her phone. I might follow her. I might question her a bunch. I might interrogate her, ask her a bunch of questions. I might act crazy around her. And the result is that she might leave. She might not leave, but without her in the result line, the relationship is over. The relationship has changed. And when I start acting in ways like this, when I start checking her phone, following her, when I start doing things then the relationship is different. Essentially, I'm cheating on her because I'm no longer the same person that I was. I am now this person who is acting in a way that is completely crazy. And so the relationship is no longer what it was, and that's reinforcing the idea that she's cheating on me. Now, she may not be, but that's not the result. That's reinforcing. What the result is reinforcing is that I'm cheating on myself. And again, I'm not being the person who I am. I'm not being the best version of myself. So let's take it one more thought, so you can really see the circumstance that is completely neutral. My girlfriend and I have sex once a month, and I think that I'm the man and this is my woman. And I'm the man, and when I think that, I feel passionate, I feel sexy, I feel seductive. I'm the man, right? I'm the fucking man. And so my actions are to seduce her, to take control, to step up, to communicate. Like we all are in a relationship, right? I'm the man, she's the woman, baby, let's talk, let's open up. And again, these actions, guys, I'm not telling you what to do. I would never tell anybody what to do. Only you know what is best in terms of how you want to act and what you want to say. Light some candles and maybe put in some music. Put some Marvin Gaye or maybe Usher, whatever she likes, right? I don't know, but you put whatever music you want, you try to put on a show, and maybe it's taking your partner out on a date, showing her a good time, maybe it's taking her to a hotel or showing her a different experience, having some fun, showing some excitement, showing some adventure. But whatever it is, those action lines, whatever you do in that action line is going to get a result. And now maybe it's more sex, maybe it's not, but that's up to her. That's going to be in her mind, how she thinks about the circumstances that you're creating with your actions. Because remember, your actions are her circumstances. But your result is that you become the man. You become the fucking man. And you are the fucking man. You are taking control of this relationship. You are making decisions. You're taking her out. You're showing her excitement. You're showing her adventure. You're showing that you're stepping up. You're becoming that fucking man in the relationship. And that's going to reinforce the thought that I'm the fucking man. I'm the man. This is my woman. And so with that same circumstance, my girlfriend and I have sex one time a month. There is no casual relationship between a circumstance and a thought. There is no correlations between a circumstance and a thought. It's just a trigger. The circumstance is a fact. It exists. It's out there. And you get to decide how to think about it any way you want. Depending on how you think about your brother, that's how it's going to determine the result. Now again, your result might become a circumstance. Let's say you decide to think, hey, you know what? I'm the fucking man. And you feel super passionate. And you take all those actions. And you do end up having more sex. Guess what your new circumstance is? Now your girlfriend and you are having sex 5 times a week. Now you have a new circumstance. But regardless of it, if the circumstance changes or not, it might still be one time a month. And your result is coming from your thinking. Whatever you're thinking is going to determine your result. And that's what I got for you guys this week on results. That is the end of the model. I'm excited for the future episodes, and now that we've gotten out of the model version of all these episodes of Universal Truth, and I may in the future be bringing in a couple of guests that I may be interviewing. I'm super excited about it too, and I think that's going to be super awesome. You guys are going to love it. We're going to have a little back and forth, a little dialogue. But before I go, I got 2 things. Number 1, you can leave me a review on any comment on what you'd like for me to talk about in the podcast. Leave me a comment, whether on Instagram, on YouTube. And if you find any value in this, please leave me a review. Say that you hate it. Say that it's corny. Or say that you love it. Say that it's inspiring you. That could give you also a chance to get some free coaching, right? We also have an 8-week challenge that you can gain $500 from. Go to victoryframecoach.com and sign up there. Follow me on YouTube, Victory Frame Coach, and also on Instagram, Victory Frame, in one word. And just leave me any feedback on any of those videos, or even DM me, whatever it is that you're dealing with. I'm an open book. Everybody knows me. My close ones, they all know I'm an open book. 5-star ratings on this podcast. Leave me a review. Any feedback would be appreciated, either on YouTube or on Instagram. And until next time, live in your victory. See you guys.